founder and president of CIO Gujarat Club, Mr. Sandeep Shah, an immensely popular personality among all CIOs of Gujarat. Would like to invite you, sir, and I would like to hand over this session.
Good afternoon, friends. My fellow CIOs can switch on their videos so that we can see them live. So, good afternoon, friends. First of all, I would like to congratulate Geisha and the supporting partners for arranging this digital management conclave with a huge success. And a pleasure to have all the participants who have joined this particular webinar and sparing their valuable time for this session. I hope everyone's family are safe and having a good health at this moment. In our lifetime, nobody has seen the unprecedented outbreak of COVID-19. So naturally, we are not prepared for this kind of a situation. But we must congratulate all the CIOs and their team members who have played a very key role in this disruption phase, and with their relentless efforts, they kept operations live using modern technologies with almost nil disruption. So these unseen heroes also deserve the same level of appreciation like doctors, police, health workers, and who have played a major role during this disruption phase. The unprecedented outbreak of COVID-19 has debilitated business by impacting their productivity as well as overall economic growth industries in almost all the countries. It has immobilized their staffs, making them work remotely from home. In several cases, infrastructure being inadequate and unavailable. Hence, harnessing the opportunities offered by digital technology moves to the top of the agenda. One famous quote by the Albert Einstein, "Necessity is the mother of all the inventions." Technology is a key driver of business today. However, ever increasing dependency on technology also means that IT services disruption can also affect the major functions of an organization. These disruptions often have direct and cascading effect on revenue and the markets. Organizations can better prepare themselves to tackle the impact of unforeseen event like this COVID by shifting to cloud or maybe multi-cloud depending upon their kind of an operations and making their systems more agile. Business that do not have cloud infrastructure in place are facing few challenges: reliable IT infrastructure, security requirement, compliance constraint, the employee client connect, other thing. So most of the companies have now realized the importance of digitalization, and those companies who have switched over to the cloud have benefited the most in this COVID-19 outbreak. Now, without further ado, let me begin our panel discussion by inviting all our panel members. The first one is Jayesh Tank. You can raise your hand.
Hello.
Jayesh Tank is carrying over 27 years of experience in IT in manufacturing industry, expertise in digital transformation, IT strategy, IT business plan, SAP implementations, and other things. Currently, he is aiding an IT function of Harsha Engineers, which is based out of Ahmedabad. Second panelist, I would like to invite Lieutenant Colonel Shankar Gurkha, retired. He is a senior executive with 30 years of experience in information technology and communication technology. Is currently heading IT functions of GIPCL, one of the leading power generation company in India. And previously he was in the RV background. He's having RV background and electronics and mechanical engineering in education field. I would now like to invite Nilesh Malvi, over 18 years of experience in IT field.
Hello.
Having a deep expertise in ERP solutions, IT infra, and the cloud solutions like Azure Cloud and etc. Currently heading IT functions of a Rolex Rings, Rajkot. I would like to invite now Devansh Shah.
Hello,
He is a very young entrepreneur and the CIO for a company called Venus Jewels. And he has also turned around his company by implementing various IT initiatives in his organization. So I would like to now start the discussion with opening remarks from all the panelists. What are the challenges they have faced during their digital transformation journey and during this pandemic time, and how you have overcome these challenges? I would like to invite Jayesh Tak to start with, and maybe followed by Shankar Gurkha, and then Nilesh, and then the Devansh.
So, good afternoon, Sandeep Bhai and all panelists. And congratulations to all Gesia stakeholders for organizing this event. Regarding the digital challenges in our journey, then we have, manpower, upskilling of manpower is the key challenges. Then another is identifying right solution for our need. That also is the challenges. Second, about the pandemic challenges, being manufacturing company, we were not prepared for work from home scenario and such lockdown. And there were many challenges we faced. How to, not from the IT perspective, from other admin perspective also, how to bring people to the factory, how to take, there are people who were having the notebooks, but they have kept in the factory only. So many, and how to, and the another thing what happened was, India was on lockdown, but other foreign countries were not completely locked down. So customers were also demanding the supplies. Yeah.
So, Colonel Gurkha, you can just take this forward.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone, Sandeep ji, Gesia stakeholders, and all the participants. Coming to digital transformation journey, which is a very, very buzzword because of pandemic. Now everybody knows what is digital transformation. As Sandeep Bhai has brought out that CIOs and CTOs had nightmares during this pandemic to support business. And we are very happy to share that we are not only supporting the business, but we are also supporting the life. Entire humanity is connected today on technology, and that is the savior. Coming to digital transformation journey at our own company, GIPCL, we are a power generation company. So as my panelists said that it's a manufacturing plant. The similar way, our company is also critical information infrastructure where we cannot shut the power down, but the manpower are needed on site. So in our case, digital transformation journey, we had already started in the normal times just 2 years back. The management said that we need to transform the complete IT technology platform, and we had identified 3 pillars. One was the infrastructure, and the second pillar is the business applications upgrade, and third is the cyber security. And on these 3 pillars, we had done our digital strategy, and roadmap was prepared, and a lot of projects were on. And then suddenly this pandemic has struck, and totally the scenario has changed. So after this pandemic, definitely we had review our digital transformation roadmap and inculcate, because GIPCL is a public sector, so we were not having any cloud strategy in our digital roadmap. We were having mostly our own premise solution because of certain public sector procedures, rules and regulation, cyber security issues, and critical information infrastructure. But then because of this pandemic, complete strategy had to be changed. So if coming to challenges in public sector like power generation company, the main challenge what we have faced is the cultural issue. The culture of the organization is very, very essential for the success of digital transformation. Because digital transformation, firstly, it's not an IT project. It's not a technical project. It's an entire business functions are involved. All the business processes gets transformed, and their business process re-engineering is done. So complete organization gets involved, right from top management to middle management and to the workforce who are working on the ground. So the involvement and total contribution from each and everybody of the organization is essential. So the culture of the organization has to be very, very tech savvy, open to adoption of innovation, which in sometimes we found it difficult. But then how did we overcome it? The communication channels. Conveying the right message across at all level has helped us in overcoming this channel. People realize that the technology is coming to help us and it's not coming to take away our jobs. And specifically after the pandemic, our job has become easier because now people want technology. They want to work from home. They want to not work from home. They want to work from anywhere. The second challenge in our case is the legacy systems which are working in silos, because in the power plant, the operational technology plant systems are very, very critical, but generally they are very hesitant in integrating with all other logistics systems like finance, HR and module. So if all are not integrated, you will not get the holistic view. So real-time information or actual data analytics, you are not able to create. So integration of these legacy systems and plant systems and new technology is another challenge. How to overcome it? Yes, in a very simple term, to be told that you need to have a proper strategy, proper planning, implementation, training, but it's very, very difficult when you really implement on ground. Third is the skill gap. As I said, our plant is power plant and people are here very in the old age bracket. So skill gap, the emerging technology, their learning is little slow. So all this had a lot of problems. So how to overcome it? Again, you have to drill down, you have to conduct a lot of workshops, you need to conduct a lot of training, you have to handhold and explain the technology. And the last but not the least, obviously, limited budget. Everybody always keeps the technology budget very, very to minimum. And specifically the pandemic, when we said, like my previous panelists also said that they were not prepared for work from home, we were also not prepared because our all work used to go from premise only. So suddenly we had the plant running, we had to have the people connected, but we had to have very less people on ground. So how did we overcome it? We had an extended hours. We broke down 3 shifts into 2 shifts so that people had 12-hour shifts, and we connected people from outside, those who were essential on virtual private networks, and we had staggered days. Those who were essential to come, we given them, you come one day, means 50% staff. In our case, we were working throughout right from day one of lockdown because power plant cannot be shut down. So we had our own challenges, and digital transformation is a journey. It's not any project. Yeah, you do it and it is over. You have to continuously be at it. So that is our experience in power plant for digital transformation journey. Over to you, Sandeep.
Yeah, I agree with Shankar. And one point I would like to add that whatever digital transformation are being carried out in PSU, they have to follow. They have to follow the process, the with the vigilance guidelines and other things. So it may not be like a private companies wherein they can simply call any vendor. I mean, whoever is the best, and then place the order. So in PSU, that cannot happen. So I think that can also delay some of the initiatives which Shankar would like to implement in his organization. So I
Absolutely.
think, of course, budget and other things are there, but I think this challenge is also equally very big, and I'm sure Shankar is taking care of those challenges. Now I would
very right. You are.
Now I would like to invite the Nilesh to give his comments on the topic.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep ji. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me in such a good event and to share my views with you. Thank you for that. Hi, I'm Nilesh Malvi. I head the IT department of Rolex Rings Private Limited, which is among the leading manufacturer of forged and machine components in India. So generally, we manufacture bearing rings and auto components which are used in different kind of engineering and automotive applications. Now, as during our digital transformation journey, some of common challenges we faced are that is one of that is management perspective about data. Management wants data privacy and security. In their mind, they believe that data should be always there in our premises to have adequate privacy. So that was the scenario. And we need to explain them that cloud data is also more secure, more reliable and redundant as data stored globally. So we also don't need to worry about information loss or outages. And the second one, if I say organizational culture, as Shankarji truly suggested that employee does not want to come out from their comfort zone. So we also face the same thing, and we need to explain them that what are the benefits we are going to have once we adopt newer technology like cloud. So, and the another one is lack of proper IT resources and limited budget. So lack of IT expertise to lead digitization process is always there. In specifically, if I say about our region, like Saurashtra region and Rajkot, there are always some kind of lack of proper IT resources who can manage the newer technology, adopt this cloud environment and to manage such infrastructure on cloud. So generally, we outsource them currently. And as always, management always consider IT as an additional cost. So they allocate very minimum budget to adopt newer technologies. So these are the challenges which we faced. And if I talk about the current situation of COVID, our first challenge was to respond, mainly get connected with our teams and continue working. Fortunately, we were already on cloud, so availability of infrastructure and resources to our team was not a challenge. We were able to facilitate our people to work from home seamlessly, as it is fully secure and our data is stored on cloud. We didn't have to be concerned about information outages or loss. Secondly, we are on SAP ERP, and you all are knowing that ERP is our lifeline. So for my business to run, our SAP ERP has to keep running. And we were just able to connect it remotely by making some simple connectivity changes. In lockdown also, we were able to collect and send required information to my customers and other business partners. And that helped us a lot in recovering process, while many of our peers were struggling at that point of time. So that is from my side. Over to Sandeep ji, please.
Yeah, I think Neelaj has very clearly pointed out the management thinking this as an expense and not an investment.
Yes.
But I think this perspective will change after this pandemic, and have now the modern technologies. So I would like to request Devans to comment on the issue.
Sure. So, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, distinguished panelists, the organizers, as well as everyone watching. So, in terms of a digital transformation, it's become very popular in a very recent period. But in our case, our digital transformation journey actually started way back in 1985, when my grandfather, who was founding this company, he was actually a very bold visionary who foresaw the use of computers and technology in multiple applications right back then. So that was actually when we installed the first computers and the first technologies in the factory. In those times, of course, it was one of the first in the industry and among the first in the city. But in terms of a transformation, we call it a journey, but it just starts, it never ends, like Shankarji rightly said. And since then, it's always been a continuous improvement cycle. But a few challenges that I can think of that this journey has been through was, the first thing is you need, like we rightly said, Albert Einstein shared that necessity leads to innovation, but necessity also needs to be coupled with the vision to be able to come up with a solution that can solve the problem. And I think that vision was very important in our journey, because in those times there was no one to replicate, there was no one to take ideas from and implement in your own factory. It was actually a grandfather who was himself, he would sit with the programmers and code in logics that he would find necessary for his own applications and his own analysis and reporting. And from that meager, few member team of programmers, today we have transformed into a 40+ team of IT management in a diamond manufacturing unit. And we really are confident and proud that we are able to be that agile. And another challenge that was rightly mentioned was the cost factor. But fortunately, because the management side was very convinced about the use of technology, we actually spent a lot of time, effort, resources and investments in technology from the very beginning. And that's actually what has helped us always lead the way. And when you're wanting to be ahead of the curve, we've always been keeping on thinking of what next. In terms of the pandemic, I think it's actually been definitely difficult for everyone to try and find a new way of working, a new alternative understanding of how to operate. But at the same time, what we understand is, because of this journey that we have had, and because we were already digitized before it was needed, we were able to connect with our customers, connect with our partners, and connect with our people in a quite smooth manner through the pandemic. And we were able to be back as soon as our customers needed and wanted us. And I think that's the important thing. So it always takes an effort as a challenge for the transformation, but at the end of the effort, at the end of the tunnel, there is always a lot of light and a lot of comfort that we get because of everything being on a single digital platform. Yeah,
so thanks. I think your company also must have benefited by investing into all those technologies and everything, and that is why you are ahead of the curve compared to your competitors actually. So now this situation, pandemic situation, during this pandemic situation, there are 300% in the cyber attacks. In fact, that PM Care Fund, I think all you must have also received many spam mails or regarding the slightly twisting the of that mail, the bank details or things, and so cybersecurity is one of the biggest tension in the. I would say it is biggest challenge in the running all those modern technologies. So since most of the users are operating from home, so there are no now internet. Everything is working from anywhere kind of an environment. Even your home router is it's a challenge for entering into your net actually. So my next question is to Colonel Gurkha. You are protecting your business from these emergencies, and are your employees adequately educated about cybersecurity threats?
Well, Sandeep bhai, thank you very much for bringing out a very, very critical point for everyone. As we know that the world is going digital, the security is becoming the prime. Not that we are working from anywhere, but we are doing all the payment transactions, everything slowly going digital. And we are forced. Earlier, government was forcing for the digital payments, but now because of pandemic, we are ready to adopt now. The culture has changed. Everyone wants to avoid the physical connection. So digital payment, becoming digital, working from anywhere becomes a very, very prime requirement of each and everybody. As I said, in our company, when our digital transformation journey started sometime 2 years back, the third pillar, we said that it will be a cyber security, because the power plant comes under critical information infrastructure, and government is fully focused on this information, this kind of infrastructure, which is not only power plant. There are about 6 to 7 sectors identified into it, and the government of India is running a cyber security plan at national level, and there is 2 government agencies are controlling it. One is the CERT-In, and the second is NCIIPC, National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center, and they have nominated various nodal agencies in different sector. And in the power sector, NTPC, which is a big conglomerate of industry for the power, they are the nodal center for cyber security plan implementation in power companies across the India. And the mandate is we have to have a information security management system based on ISO 27001 guidelines. So we were already had started about a year back cyber security audit from the perspective of putting information security management system in place. Audit, the stages of this cyber security were to have the audit, identify vulnerabilities, identify tools to be implemented, and then have re-audit, and then have proper information security management system in place, which includes revising your information security policies and everything. So we were little lucky that we were already focusing on cyber security very, very comprehensively, because cyber security not only from the perspective of information technology systems, but operational technology. Power plants are also fully controlled by your power control system, say SCADA or PLCs or historians, and you know that the complete power gets controlled through smart grids. Means we have a national load dispatch center, we have a state load dispatch centers, and completely this grid is controlled through systems. So cyber security becomes very, very critical. So that's why government has kept this power as critical information infrastructure. So when the pandemic struck, we were already had educated our people. We had almost 3 days workshop for each and every individual. What is cyber security? What are good practices? What are bad practices and what policies are coming? This education was already done, and then pandemic struck. They started working remotely. That also was covered because generally, but not that stress was given because remote functioning was very limited before the pandemic. But as pandemic struck, the remote functioning increased, and we revised our security policies and emphasized stress on remote work policies, how to keep the security and how to remain secure when you are over the internet. Firstly, foremost, very simple, what we need to do is have your identification and authentication credentials strong. Means password. Just to give a simple example, have a password, set up the strong password, because it is little difficult having strong password. Generally we keep it birthday, name and birthday and all that, which is very easy to guess. But try and have a strong password policies, keep changing those passwords. So we made a practice that everybody will have strong password, minimum 8 characters, having alphabet. These all generally, if you see the bank transactions and all that, we try to enforce that. We also made sure that every quarter that password has to be changed, or as frequent as possible, minimum every quarter the password has to be changed. So these simple practices, if it is kept in mind, it helped us quite a bit in terms of maintaining the security. Any access, once we gave to very minimum people, those who require, and those who do not require, we do not give. And access were always through VPN, either virtual private networks through SSN. All web applications were through SSN socket survey, your SSL enabled. So other than that, security infrastructure on your perimeter, like what we have, is your firewalls, intrusion prevention system, intrusion detection system at your gateway between your external and internal network. And then once you enter your internal network, at your endpoint security, where you have at the user desktop the virus antivirus packages, you have application security, like application security firewalls we had kept. And what we ensured that we kept all these upgraded patches and all that have been downloaded, upgraded properly, monitored daily, and focus from the perimeter security point of view. We focused on people-centric security. We said that each and every individual is responsible for security, and they need to follow the best practices which we already had devised before the pandemic as per government guidelines for information security management system. So basically, if you follow the proper information security guidelines like username, password, having it strong password policy, changing it frequently, only giving access to those, checking your systems for upgrades, patches, and monitoring, keeping all the ports closed, monitoring any violations of policies. These all simple practices will help in maintaining the cyber security, even if you are fully digitized.
Yeah, I agree with Shankar. I mean, along with IT, OT is also equally nowadays very important to protect the operation of your this one. And nowadays, that zero trust framework is also now very popular, and I'm sure that many large organizations are adopting those kind of framework and the thing. Now, coming back to the next question to the Jayesh, during this pandemic, most of your people would be working from home, right? So, what kind of challenges, I mean, you face in terms of, say, maybe connectivity, or maybe if they may not have the maybe, I don't know, laptop or whatever it is. So, how you overcome those challenges?
See, Sandeep, I just forgot to introduce my company. That I am from Harsha Engineers Limited. We are into bearing cage manufacturing. We manufacture bearing cages and we supply to bearing manufacturers. So we are the manufacturing company. We have manpower around more than, including associate, it is more than 2100 employees. Now the lessons learned or challenges, ek bataya ya kafi bataya. So we have to start with many. So by the time we were hearing in March there was no cases in Gujarat, so we were much happier कि अभी गुजरात में case नहीं है, we are safe. And by the time in the last week of March, when cases started in Gujarat, and very frankly we were not prepared to work from home, and suddenly the nationwide lockdown introduced. And funny things, I mean, many things happen is like there are users who have notebook, but they kept notebooks in factory. Even IT, many of IT team doesn't had notebook computers to work from home. Then slowly we got the permission from the because of the export business, we got the permission with the minimum 15% workforce. And I think we all must appreciate the work done by Digital Gujarat Portal and the Gujarat authorities who worked very hard in this pandemic time. They listened to all the requirements and they act very sensibly and to providing the permission, allowing the work to happen. So because of the export, we get limited, with limited capacity, we got the permission. Then slowly we moved out. One of the challenge was being a more associate in the company. All the office staff, office team have the WhatsApp and they have connected with the email and everything. But for the associate, how to communicate, that in the third week of April, we were starting with limited manpower. To call them and to communicate them was also a challenge. But we established SMS gateway because many of them may not have the WhatsApp and the smartphone. So then we communicated to them, and slowly calling them people on the work was again challenge. Then from not IT but admin perspective, the staff bus where normally 45 people come, now because of social distancing only the 20 people can join, so they have to run more staff buses to call the people to factory. And slowly we with the limited permission we were able to provide resources to the work from home employees. And first 3 weeks were very difficult, but slowly we established everything and work started.
Yeah, so I think you have done a wonderful job. Now I would like to come to Devans. Basically, I think their organization is very, 30, 40 years old, and there are many employees who may not be very educated, and the industry which you are dealing, they may not have the white collar jobs actually. So during your digital transformation initiative, how important is culture shift basically, and how you have managed to tackle those culture shift to convince them to use the technology, your clients or your vendors and other things. Can you throw some light on how you have managed those things?
Sure. So there's I think two important cultural shifts that we have observed. One is with our people, our employees, and one is with customers. Both were equally important in bringing this digital ecosystem together. So initially, when we started with the programming and making our own softwares in the 80s and 90s, it was a little challenging to get things together, to get everyone on the same board. But I think it takes just the basic nice visionary conviction that we had from our grandfather, and communication played a very important role. He would communicate the vision to everyone who was going to be a part of the change and going to be a part of the improvements. And when you show them the way, when you show them the benefits of this, they all slowly and gradually become a part of your initiative. And over the years, what we've observed is the people who work with us, they have closely observed the change and the improvements that have happened to their processes, to their work, that over the last 20-30 years. And when one thing has already gone right, it automatically gives you more confidence in putting in the next thing on the improvement circle. So even our artisans who polish diamonds themselves, they today use very complex 3D graphic tools to assess their diamond that they are going to polish, and to visualize what they're doing. They even do 3D work online, and they recut the diamond virtually first before they physically cut it themselves. And this all has not actually been very linked to how educated they are, but it's always more linked to how committed and how motivated they are to join the journey in becoming better and making the process better. So for example, when in 95 we got our first data center in house with the disaster recovery systems and all in place, even the vendors who were providing us the system weren't very confident of how much we need. And they suggested, you should just start with this much. In a diamond industry, you don't really need so much. But then it's always been a very good uphill from there. For customers also, we know the diamond industry as it is, just how every diamond is so unique, just how each of us, every person is so unique. So before you're marrying someone, you really want to understand them, you want to see them, you want to meet them. In the same way for diamonds also, it is traditionally very important for the customer to come and want to see the diamond themselves, because everything is so unique. There could be some color here, there, some nice features here and there of every diamond. But in terms of when we started our website in 97, it was actually a very big, bold thing. Who needs IT, you need to see the diamond. And it was actually a phase where we went from selling diamonds in parcels into selling it as one diamond per parcel. Because when it's a parcel, you really need to see the diamond. But when it's an individual diamond itself, you can, identify it uniquely. You can make it an individual asset. You can give it some attributes and describe it properly to the customer. Of course, it was, it sounds like it's going to benefit the customer. He now knows each and everything about every diamond. But of course, it was not so easy to convince everyone to come on board. It took actually 2-3 years to get back to the sales level that we had before we made this transformation. So sales actually plummeted, but because of the conviction that the management had that this is the future and this is the right thing, you keep communicating with customers, you show them, you sit with them, understand what more we can do to help them. So normally we know diamonds are graded by 4 C's, which is the most popular terminology. So in those periods, we started grading each individual diamond based on not just those 4 parameters, but actually 25 different parameters. Because we sat down with customers and asked them, what do you look into a diamond for? What do you see when you see the diamond? And each and every attribute that they were looking for in a diamond, we tried to digitize it. We tried to make the information available online. And because of that journey, since then, customers and everyone slowly and steadily start increasing to understand the use of technology, the use of computers. A lot of these people were among those for whom it was one of the first times they were using so much mobiles and computers or technology. And so we essentially were nicely able to it took time. It takes a lot of time when something's new.
I agree, because culture shift is more connected with the mindset actually. I mean, if you correct that mindset, then I think you have break the ice, and then you can.
Correct. Yeah. So today the culture for customers and for us is, the culture is that we have to keep on improving. We are who we are today, but there is a lot more that we can do every day. And the mission or statement that we are always told is, don't settle for anything less than 100. Even if you're currently at 80, you go to 85 tomorrow, that's okay. But if you can do something more digitally, more efficiently, more perfectly for the customer, for the people, be there. And I think in terms of the culture, it's just that for us over the years, everyone's observed this transformation very closely. So they've been able to get that additional confidence and that trust that they have in the company, because of which they are able to transform themselves also to adapt to this new culture of interacting with us.
So my next question is to Nilesh.
Sandeep bhai, can I add a small point in
Yes, sure.
Devansh is telling? So wonderful example of we all have to evaluate that when the digital transformation or any technology project gets implemented, generally the efficiency and everything goes down after the successful go live. But that's a phase. If you are at it and if you keep on adopting, because it takes time, the technology to mature, people to understand, and if everybody keeps on using it and management keeps on supporting, there is no doubt about that the technology will bring value to the business. And the live example just now Devansh has quoted, that sales had gone down after the technology, but they kept it, and after 2 years I think they came back to the proper level of sales. That is wonderful.
Yes, and what is also important is after those 2 years we actually saw the investment actually reaping benefits in the upward scale after that.
And my one advice is also, I mean, whenever any company is implementing SAP, they have to stop any parallel system.
Yes.
Right.
See,
absolutely.
I mean, the finance people, they generally prefer to use Tally or maybe whatever their legacy system. So that brings the failure of a main SAP system or Oracle or Microsoft, whatever you are using. So I think that management should take a conscious decision to stop the parallel system, and problems are going to come, but then you'll have to solve those problems.
Yes.
So coming back to Nilesh, according to what are the key benefits of leveraging cloud for business continuity planning and DR initiative?
Okay. Cloud-based BCP, that is business continuity plan, creates operational resiliency easier, faster, and more economical for our organizations. Compared with manual backup systems and conventional disaster recovery methods, it offers a more efficient and cheaper solution to getting our business up and running quickly, right? So, and I would like to add something also, that enterprise needs a cloud-based BCP and DR solution, considering its features like It is having high availability. There are more resources available compared to our existing data center. Second one is it is highly scalable and flexible. You can scale up or scale down your infrastructure as and when your organization needs. Third one is accessibility at any remote locations. You can manage your backups and all these things from any kind of remote locations also. With easy backups and data redundancy. Data is available more than one server in same data center. Many clouds are providing this thing, and also available replicated globally. So we don't have to bother about where my data is lying exactly. And one more thing is it is easy to restore mechanism from cloud. Like you might all aware that there is a failback process. Using that, we can easily restore data from cloud to our on-prem location. Information are more secure and reliable on cloud. And most important is it is affordable and cost-effective solutions. It eliminates expenses tied to on-premises solutions such as on-site hardware and building cost, physical security, and server technician, which we need to manage our storage, backups, network devices, and DR equipments, etc. It also reduces potential risk in the event of data loss or damages or other kind of disaster which may happen to our on-premises infra. I would like to share one interesting case which I personally observed, and we implemented DR for our SAP application on Microsoft Azure Cloud using Azure Site Recovery, which was one of the great experience. At that time, we were having 15 minutes of scheduled block level replication of our VM. And we don't need to bear any additional cost of resources while replicating that data. After 6 to 8 months of implementing that, unfortunately, we faced hard disk corruption in our MSS storage, and more than 2 hard disks were failed. You all might aware that up to 2 hard disks we can sustain as far as our storage is concerned. But if third hard disk get failed, then it is a very big trouble for us, right? And once it was concluded that we need to replace those faulty HDDs, and we didn't have any other option, we immediately decided to switch to our DR site, which was there on Azure. It took just 2 hours to switch. We just created a VM. We created a VM there based on our last available replicated data, made some simple network settings in our firewall, and route all my users to that machine. And my business application gave me most recent data just before 15 minutes of that failure. That means we got 15-minute RPO, which was tremendous. Once we got again HDD replacement, we again arranged failback process to get live data into our on-premises data center. So this is how we took a real advantage of Cloud DR and BCP. Over to you, Sandeep bhai. Thank you.
I think Krina is there, so I think there's a signal that we are running out of time. So I think if you can permit, I can take a last question, or I can sum up whatever. So I think she's on mute. You are on mute. So anyway, let me sum up the event. See, automation and machines are replacing so many jobs. This may include the white collar job, blue collar jobs, and even you also. So in few years, I think everyone would be replaceable. So as per the latest study, 70 to 80% job would disappear in next 20 years. And many new jobs will come. So the best example is like DevOps, cloud architect, application migration from monolithic to microservice architecture. I mean, those things were not visible before 10 years, but now all these Kubernetes skills, Docker skills, all are now very hot job in the demand actually. So my suggestion would be one should always look for learning a new skill to keep in the market. And another quality would be the flexibility and the collaboration. That would be the new mantra for the new digital leaders. So finally, we come to end of our panel discussion. Hopefully, you all would have enjoyed the experience shared by our panelists. Thank you very much.